journey or thinking about the idea that I could live a more minimalistic life. Back in 2012, I moved overseas, and I kept things like an heirloom table, my Christmas decorations, and a couple boxes, but other than that, I sold all my belongings. So that kind of got me into this mindset that I could do that I could get rid of the things that I loved, that I could prioritize what really meant something to me, and just really minimalize. Well, I got divorced in 2016, and I just kind of started thinking about what was next for me. And probably like a lot of you, I watched the tiny house shows on TV and was intrigued. I lived in a pretty small place. It was about 720 square feet, so not super small, but smallish. And I was like, well, I can do this, and I could get rid of more. I could do more and live less. So I was watching those shows and just kind of just pondering it. But I lived in Texas at the time, and I started to realize that I wanted to live closer to family. And so I had either Aberdeen, Idaho, or South Carolina, and I chose Aberdeen. And it just kind of all started to fall into place. So I found a job. I found property that I got for dirt cheap. And then I started getting the idea that, hey, maybe I could actually make this tiny house idea a reality. So the property that I got, it was only supposed to have like a 5-foot wide house on it. Obviously, that's not possible. That would be tinier than a tiny home. That would be like a doghouse. And so I needed to get, the first step that I had to do was get a variance. And the most feet I could get approved for was 10 feet. So my house is 10 feet wide. And then I bought the property and got it for a really great deal because nothing else could be made on that property but a tiny house. But there was a lot of red tape to go through. So, I talked to the city about like, well, what codes would I have to follow? And they're like, well, we have no idea. We've never done this before. So they kind of looked at other cities that have had tiny homes and took ideas on like how to do the coding and things like that. And what it honestly came down to, because I was building it in the city, it couldn't be portable. So it's not a mobile tiny home. And it basically just had to be built with the same codes as a regular house. So I didn't really get to skate by anything or cut any corners in that way. I actually built a basement, so it's unique for a tiny house in that way. They would have to, dig like a crawl space anyway, and so it wasn't that much more expensive to just go ahead and build the basement. And I figured since we actually do get tornadoes here, it wouldn't be a terrible idea. And that's been huge. I'm so glad I did that. It would have been really hard to adjust without having that basement. So it's 200 square feet on the main level, 200 in the basement, and then about 70 in the loft. Let's see. So yeah, lots of red tape to go through. The city was hesitant to do it for sure. But once they found like some codes from other cities, and they gave me like a guideline to follow, how tall the loft had to be, having egress windows and everything like that. It was an interesting process building it. I learned that when you're building something, it never goes as planned, and you should expect it to cost twice as much and take twice as long, and that was about the case for me. I still managed to get it all, my property and the house, done for about $50,000. Yeah, right? Not too shabby. So it was an interesting process. The people who built it had never built a home before and kind of underestimated how much work it would be. Didn't really calculate that it would actually just be building a house, a regular house, just a smaller version of one. So I think there were a lot of surprises along the way as to codes we had to follow, like in the bathroom. First we wanted to put the toilet in the shower so I could have a bigger shower. I would have a wet bath? A wet toilet? I don't know. It's a thing in tiny houses where you put the toilet in the shower. and that didn't work out. That wouldn't be allowed, and there has to be like a certain distance from the toilet to the sink and the toilet to the shower. So I actually have, it's like a tankless toilet. There's no back on it, and it just hooks up directly to the wall. So that's kind of different. It was really hard to get used to sleeping in a loft. I don't think I slept for about 3 days. It's kind of like being back in a bunk bed, but scarier. I thought when I was building it, I was like, oh, I have stairs. I knew I couldn't do a ladder consistently, like on an everyday basis. And I was like, what if I get up at 2 in the morning? I'm going to kill myself on a ladder. So I had staircases built. So there's staircases going up to the loft and down to the basement. My least favorite part of the house is the stairs. They're very narrow and very steep, so it's quite the workout going up and down them. Like even little kids like take their time going down. So that's been my least favorite part, but I also understand it's a necessary evil to make sure to make the most out of the space that I have. So yeah, getting used to the loft was tricky. I'm really thankful that I did the basement. It's where I spend most of my time. I have a little living area. I have a small couch, a TV, and then I actually have what's basically like a large walk-in closet. Is kind of what it's worked out to be, where I can put my washer and dryer. I have a very mini washer and dryer set that barely fit down the stairs, but made it. A couch that no other couch probably could have made it down the stairs. So that was definitely getting the mattress up into the loft was quite the ordeal. We had ropes and 3 people, and it was quite the challenge, but we did it. Efficiency, the summer has been amazing. My electrical bill is so little. I just have a 1 window unit on the main floor, and if I turn it down about 6 o'clock, then my loft will cool down by the time I go to bed. And there's just so few months here where it's that hot that it's just been amazing. I will say I didn't choose the best. I don't know what other option I would have done, but I have baseboard heating, so my winter bills are not as low as I was hoping they would be. So that's something that I've learned, is that going that route. But it would have been too expensive to do like a central heating and air system. And what I wanted to do was a wood-burning stove, but I didn't really have room for it, and space is so little that I just really couldn't make it happen. So I have a baseboard and heater in my main floor, my loft, and my basement, and I pretty much just keep them running. I have cats, and I don't want to freeze them out while I'm gone during the day, so that hasn't been. I probably pay about what I paid for my 720 square foot place in Texas, about the same for or maybe, yeah. So it's still not terrible, but it's not as efficient as I was hoping it would be. So that's kind of been a lesson learned. It's a really long property, so I've had a deck built. That's really lovely to have. I hope someday to build a garage, but the garage would actually have to be wider than the house. 10 feet wide is not wide enough for a garage, so I would have to get a new variance to build a wider garage, and I don't know if the city would approve that or not. But everyone told me, like, build the house first and then ask for the garage. Maybe they'll be more lenient. But for now, I just park on the street. Yeah, it's a really unique lot, very narrow but very long. So there's lots of room on there, like for my nieces and nephews to come over and play. It's enough space. Like living alone, I don't know if I would ever do it with somebody. If I would try this experience in a relationship or anything, but as a single woman, it's all the space that my cats and I need, and it's really taught me to really think about what's important to me, and then to really think about what I really like. Like there are things that I'd always kept around that I was like, oh, well, it's fine, I like it, looks cute, but then I'd be like, well, do I really love it? Do I really want to look at it every day? And then if I didn't, then I got rid of it because there's just such little space to put things up. And so I'm really surrounded by things that I love, which is really nice. Like everything on my walls and all my decorations, it's all things that I see and that bring me joy. And so it is funny when the Marie Kondo, when she became really popular this summer, for going through all your things and only keeping what sparks joy. I didn't need to do that. I pretty much said like only keep 10 books. I think I have about 8, so I'm doing good. But it is hard, and every time I buy something, I usually have to get rid of something else to make room for it.